Hello friends, welcome back to Value Vintage Cards. We are continuing our box series run of videos here. So we're all the way up to video 6. So again, if anyone ever finds my channel in the future and they want to kind of get a idea of what I collect, how I collect, this is probably the easiest way. So go back and check out those videos and it'll give you a good kind of overview, run through of what I collect, what's interesting to me, kind of the scale, scope, idea of what I find interesting. And I think it'll be, hopefully beneficial, and hopefully beneficial, like I said, for, my family and just anything else come, future. So video 1 we did was box 1. That was kind of the biggest. Then I jumped to box 7, which was the end. Now I actually have a box 8. Went back to 2, came back to 6, went to 3. So that was our first 5 videos. Now we're on to 5, and then we have 4, and we hit all 7. I'll probably do a box 8 since I actually created a box 8, which, 1 is the kind of the biggest cards, and 8 would be kind of the still in the box system, but not the biggest or toughest to find cards necessarily. So this is, now that I've got it going this way, I've got more ungraded in every box. That actually helps because they fit in so much nicer. So this is the 95 cards fit into box 5. So I'm gonna flip it around and we'll dive in and we'll take a look and see what's here. All right, friends, let's dive into box 5 and what all we have in there. So I'm going to start off with the couple of oversized that I pulled out of the box. This one it's an interesting one. I feel like it's a under the radar. It's a 1937 Gaudi Premium. So if you think of Bob Feller, what most people consider to be his rookie card would be his 1938 Gaudi, like heads up, right? Kind of that big head caricature looking item. You get the with scribbles and without, so a little bit of writing on it, or the more clean looking version, whichever you prefer. Neither one seems to be more scarce than the other, but those two seem to be the big hunt, Feller rookies. And maybe it's the oversized penalty, but I want to say there's far less of these in circulation. At the very worst, there might be the same amount, but I think there's less. I've not verified that, but it's a year earlier. So when you look at your Bob Fellers and your Bob Feller options, again, all these premiums to me are just fantastic. I love these things. Look how cool. Look at his glove. I think Bob Feller made the majors when he was like 12, so he does look pretty youthful. But he was a teen. I mean, again, you guys know me. I'm into the shoes, the uniform, the background, the advertisements that are back there. There's so many cool features to that. It does say it's got a mark on it. I'm not sure where that's at. Oh, that's right. It's pretty significant. So somebody was really tracking down who Bob Feller was. They made their own traditional baseball card out of this one, so super fun. Second one is a tough set. I did just show this one recently, so I thought I'd pull it back out and share it again. These could have additional portion to this wrapper. It's Overland Candy 1936. These are very, very tough. I figured since I pulled a Bob Feller, I'll go with a Bob Grove. You don't really see that too often. Usually it's Lefty Grove, but Robert, sometimes you see it portrayed as Bob. These are tough. They're wrappers. Tough for shape and often trimmed like this. Because the other portion really wasn't nearly as exciting from like a baseball collector perspective. So I'm going to shift into my 3 ungradeds. So you got the very traditional 54 Bowman. I've had that since I was probably 11. It's another gift from Mom. So a little bit of creasing and whatever else to it, but I think for being a mail order card, back in the late 80s. I think we did pretty darn well. So 54 Bowman Mays has been in my collection for a long time. This one was actually a gift from my uncle. Supposedly he has like all of their childhood baseball cards, but he has never shared them with me. I guess my dad got some stuff and he got the baseball cards somehow in the splitting of things, but I really have no idea, no scale. But he did gift me this one year for, I think it was Christmas. So pretty nice, clean 1960 Topps mantle. So I will keep that as a gift from my uncle forever, and keep it as is. Last ungraded I'm going to share is this thing. With Sandberg, as I record this, his funeral was actually, I think, broadcast in Chicago. I think it was just yesterday. So his passing is fresh, but definitely a childhood hero. But what a cool opportunity. So when you find these minor league, Venezuelan league kind of things, I think it's in 1981. It goes through everything about him. Obviously it's all Spanish, but you get these issues that are really tough to come by. There's 3 of him in that set, but it's the only one with him solo, and I really just wanted to have the one with him by himself. Alright, let's dive into, so that's 5. I'm going to get moving here. Show you some PSA slabs, and normally I do not do what I'm about to do, but I wanted to illustrate and do a little side-by-side. 2 of them, I feel like these 2 always get paired together because they are basically the same gosh darn thing. So some people only collect 1. I am really working pretty significantly to get a solid Ted Williams representation of my collection. So I wanted a 50 and a 51 Bowman, even though they are in many, many ways the same gosh darn thing. Obviously, these are perfect conditions for my collection. I just don't do the high grade thing. But 1950 Bowman, that's another one. Like the centering on this, even though it's insane, doesn't bother me. There's times I'll look at cards and be like, no, I think I got a pretty nice example, and someone else will look at it and be like, nah, let me look at the centering on the thing. I'm like, really? No, I didn't notice. So until I look at it to kind of wonder, like, why did it get that grade? It looks pretty nice to me. Then you start looking at some of the details, and maybe there's a issue at the back or something like that, but that doesn't detract from me appreciating it. Sticking kind of same era, so I immediately bail on Bowman and head right back to something a little more unique and regional and odd, if you will. 1950 Drake's Warren Spahn, great image, big old leg kick, looks like a TV of the day, great write-up on the back. These are just fantastic. So there's a few big ones in the set. I've got a few in the set, but definitely one that I would recommend checking out if you're looking for new opportunities for some of those great players of the 1950 era. It's not the biggest set in the world, but it's strong. This one is such a great image. You'll actually see this on 2 different cards. It is Tris Speaker. It's been identified as Tris Speaker. Playing overseas. He's in I think he's in Japan, and he's in a White Sox jersey because that's the team he was playing with while traveling over there when they were doing like these, like traveling all-stars kind of things. But for me, that image is one of the best things captured on a baseball card of the era. The original cards issued more like 1915 range. This is a 1934. So this is almost like the recreation of a classic. But cool write-up on the back. R&J Hill. But for me, that Tris Speaker image that does it. That is a favorite. Next one is a cool little subset. So 33 Gaudy. Definitely the exact same kind of look, dimension, layout, artistry, everything else. But Sport Kings, you get a whole lot of other sports players, some phenomenal opportunities to pick up some players, and some people you don't even find on other cards, really, or at least not many. But within baseball, you have Babe Ruth, you have Ty Cobb, and he was so dominant. Carl Hubble was a Sport Kings player chosen. Again, same exact feel, look, everything to the regular set. So, really happy to have a Carl Hubble. Still working on finding a Ruth and a Cobb that will be able to join my collection. Now we jump into pre-war era even a little bit further. So 1906, fan craze. Frank Chance is definitely on my list of players that I appreciate, so when I get a chance. The back of these is cool, fan craze. But yeah, given the opportunity, Tinker and Evers are fine. You kind of have to have them to complete the double play combo, but Frank Chance of the three is definitely the one I collect the strongest. This one's fun. I had to reach out to Matt at the card store to make sure I was finding a good deal, and I think he's, when I showed him that, he's like, yeah, it's solid. These bazookas are all hand cuts, so authentic never bothers me at all. Hand cut, you're really looking for, do they cut up the image? Do they cut off their name? Sometimes when it's really wavy, it bothers me. Backs are blank, there's nothing to that. But really, you just want a great image. 68 bazookas are so unique in the just design and shape of them. So, Hank Aaron, can't go wrong with Hank. And then I wanted to include a couple of these little, lesser known, lesser seen kind of sets. So W553, they're colorful, they're small, they're hand cut, they're tough to find, they're blank back. But as you see with a lot of the issues of those days, you're going to see a lot of duplicated, W517 and cash-ins and different card productions. This is a cash-in image. A lot of the different sets share images. So with some of the players I don't collect, super intensely. Hornsby I tend to collect pretty hard, but other players that I don't collect quite as big, I kind of go with I have that pose, so I'm good mentality. Next one, these are tough. This is an interesting issue. E90, so there's -1 and -3 that you'll see. Some players, Mordecai Brown, Ed Walsh, are in both, and in both issues are really cool. So I tend to try to want to get them in both. But the E90s, some of the issues of the day get a little cartoony or less vibrant. I don't know, maybe less interesting. But I will say the E90s are generally really neat. And look at the quality control. That's what's mind-bending. There's your bottom border. Nah, we don't care. Totally fine. So it is authentic. It has definitely been, trimmed up at the top, maybe there or something, at the bottom as well. So you got a couple of those edges that are a little trimmed, but doesn't matter to me. That's a tough one to find too. I think there's a couple of them on eBay right now. And you see them come up every so often, but there's definitely times you'll look and there's 0 available. Pretty tough. Another great set, 1933, 3 DeLong. I don't know why I was thinking 2 all of a sudden. It's US Caramel, I think I'm confusing. these are just fantastic. The DeLongs with the imagery, the colors. Colors is always like your full Crayola box. They got a little bit of everything going on. You got your blue, you got your green, your yellow, your red, got the clouds, standing like a giant on the baseball field. The backs of these, pretty darn cool as well. When you get a cool back, I want to make sure I don't have back damage, because I actually do want to be able to sit back and read that someday and enjoy what it is they were trying to get across with their card issue. So Al Simmons is somebody I will definitely take. He's a great, phenomenal player, but under the radar Hall of Famer, so you can get him for a much better deal, better bargain, better value than a lot of the other stars. Connie Mack. Don't get enough of him in the collection sometimes. As a manager, you don't get issued in all the same sets. And to me, I love those kind of images. Wearing, between the tie, the collar, his hair, you get in really close and really appreciate what these cards are. I just think that's so cool. The whole set's only $30, so if you want to complete the whole set, you can, and it's not all Hall of Famers. Frank Baker, Nat Lajoie. Go through the whole set on the back, and there's several there that are probably pretty affordable if you're a set collector. It'd be kind of fun to complete a little set like this, have something kind of unique in the collection for sure. It'd be a tough set to collect, but given enough time, anything's possible. I included this one because when I was flipping through my box, I was like, geez, 34 Gowdy Lefty Grove. Let's just say it's a fair condition card. I pulled it and I was like, really? That thing looks awesome. So I hope you're like me and you're like, I got it. Back damage. But if you were to tell me, mess this thing up in 4 spots, I'd be like, all right, just save all the writing. Make sure I can read the thing. The writing's immaculate. So what a deal. That's 1.5 the way I want it. All right. 3 left, and they're all kind of fun little sets. This is one I've only got one representation. When you think minor league baseball and international baseball and contribution to baseball, we talk about different players as being contributors. Lefty O'Doul should really be in the Hall of Fame as a contributor. He did so much for baseball beyond being a ridiculously great hitter for a short amount of time. This is back in the era where he would have been the manager and been helping Joe DiMaggio to become the monster he was going to become in the majors. So this is kind of the same issue as that very famous DiMaggio minor league card that goes for more than a few dollars. I thought, Lefty O'Doul, he's on my list of guys I can argue about for Hall of Fame consideration, as much as anything as a contributor, but I want to get something from the set. I always like to represent a set if I can. Some sets I just literally am not called to collect anybody, so I'll never get every set, but given the choice of adding it to the collection or not, I will generally go with the idea of adding it. Burke Ross. So if you think about Whitey Ford, 1951 Bowman is considered his rookie. You can also get a Burke Ross version. I think that's a great image. And these actually end up being pretty legit on the back. He's 9-1. So pretty cool. And last one is a little bit rougher, but it's such a cool set. I figured I'd toss that one in the mix. So the old T227, there's all of 4 cards for baseball in that run. There's other sports as well, kind of like the Sports Kings idea. You can pick up players and athletes in other sports with that set, but baseball wise, Cobb is a monster. That's a huge card. At some point I'd love to add that one. Frank Baker, I feel like I missed out on one recently, and I'm a little regretful that I didn't go a little stronger. Definitely collect Frank Baker. And then the other one's Rube Marquardt, who definitely has a cool story and a pretty good little following anyway, and is a Hall of Famer. So, but the one I do have is Chief Bender. So yeah, I mean, mine's got some fairness to the one, but what's interesting is I get some surface damage, but the rest of it is actually pretty solid. I mean, there's the surface damage. That's the one component. Corners are good, colors are good. And what is important to me on these, because these are so neat, is the back write-up is in perfect condition too. It's not quite T206 back collecting, but when they put together a really solid write-up, I really want to make sure that I'm able to read what was supposed to be there. So I don't know if I'll upgrade that at some point. I've kind of seen this card enough now that I can see past that, and at distance that doesn't really bother me too much. So yeah, it's my Chief Bender. So that is what I have in box 5 to share for today. I appreciate everyone that's been jumping in. I know this is kind of an interesting, unique way to run through, but I figure it's 20 random kind of fun cards from every box, so it gives some perspective on what I like to collect. And I appreciate everyone that's been very kind and generous in the comments and just sharing what sticks out to them, and just kind of sharing the journey with me. So thank you all much. I will catch you guys on the next one. Take care.